listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Go for it, Jim! Climb the ladder, kid! Make yourself famous!
A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. OTM, Kyle Gagliardi, and my co-host is my good friend, Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Tucky!
What's going on, Kyle? It's been a while, Kyle.
And in a while, it's been, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah,
That's how long it's been? But
like we talked about, it feels longer, but it hasn't been that long.
Well, if you think about it, for me and you, because you used to live where I live now and you moved away, we probably talked every other day, something like that, or at least saw each other once or twice a week. So going 2 weeks without even like talking to you face to face, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
So how you been, man? How you been?
Got done with the marathon, so got that out of the way. I was in Chicago for like less than 48 hours, but that was cool.
You beat your record, right? You like had the set time you wanted to beat?
Yeah, so I was trying to do it in 4 hours, and I managed to do it in 3 hours, 58 minutes, and 58 seconds. So I had a whole minute to spare. But
you like had this rookie mistake. I kept the volume on my phone when I pulled it up. This is what happens when you do live shows.
I'm like, what a dick. He's interrupting me. Jeez.
You never know what's going to happen. But no, go ahead. You beat your time.
Yeah, I beat my time. Ate a lot of food, and then made it back. Had Monday off for the travel day back home, and Mista and I are packing our bags tomorrow, heading down to Vegas to see Impact's Bound for Glory.
That's I have that on the doc. I don't know if you saw that. It is on the agenda. I kind of want to touch briefly on Bound for Glory. I mean, we don't specifically watch it. This is going to be your first time attending Impact, right?
Yeah, never been. There's some names I've seen at shows, but never at an Impact show. So
we can confirm now too. This wasn't confirmed 2 weeks ago. The Inspiration, formerly known as the Iconics, will be at Bound for Glory. That's pretty cool. You're going to get to see them.
That's pretty solid. I mean, a number of names. I've seen Jordan Gray. She's awesome. Deonna Purrazzo, Inspiration, Christian Cage. A lot of good talent. And this is supposed to be their WrestleMania. So it's supposed to be their big show of the year. So maybe a surprise or two. Who knows? Could be some shenanigans.
You never know nowadays. There's a lot of names that have been released from the WWE that could just pop up at Bound for Glory. Like, what the hell is Bronson Reed doing? We haven't seen that guy since he got released. What if he shows up then?
That's true, yeah.
That's a name to keep an eye on. But the reason we're here today, is to talk about one thing and one thing only. That is WWE's Crown Jewel pay-per-view that happened during the day today. We were just talking about it, how they're going to have to rush back over to SmackDown. The logistics are kind of throwing me off a little bit, but it seems like some of the superstars will make it to SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that Saudi Arabia, the country, will do their best to make. They're not like having to rush to the airport and fight through people to hop on like commercial jets. So it is a tight window, but Saudi Arabia is 8 hours ahead of us. They're going to make up 8 hours coming back, but they've got to stop somewhere. What plane is going to go straight from Saudi Arabia to Wichita, Kansas?
I would not know. Can confirm. I do not know. We have a comment. It's our boy Quinn. He's there. That's what they thought last time.
Yeah, right. And that was a blessing because that turned out one of the coolest SmackDowns in recent memory because of the NXT takeover and things like that. Pat McAfee stepping up, making it happen.
I totally forgot that was after the Saudi show. Okay, that was a moment in history right there. But before we get into Crown Jewel talk, we got to remind the listeners that we are proud members of the Overtime Sports Network. You can check out the website, otsportsnetwork.wixsite.com/ OTSN Tuck. And if you wanted to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, how would you do so?
Dude, it's so easy. We have made it so easy for the fans at _OTSN. Come on, you don't even have to spell words. You just have to remember the initials.
It's very, very simple. And also show some love to Raise Energy. I didn't have one today, but I consistently am having one almost every other day because I want to make sure, I don't have a heart attack at the age of 40 or something like that. So drink it in moderation, but go ahead and get yourself some. Go to repsports.com. Use code OTSN at checkout. You will save $5. Tuck, I don't know if you saw that new flavor. I didn't order it, but I think it's that spooky one.
No, just my luck. They debuted it like 3 days after I ordered 2 cases.
So you don't need any more.
I might have to top it off though. The energy drinks in my house are like toilet paper. Like you could stock up. You're gonna get to them eventually. So I might have to look into it. It looks good.
Do you at least have your own separate fridge away from you and Mista's stuff?
Oh yeah, we've got a beer fridge in the garage, and the beer fridge has beer on the couple top shelves, and then I think I got like 4 different energy drinks out there now.
Beer, energy drinks. What else do you need, really?
Like
besides water.
I am living the life. Yeah, but at clear water, not that psycho water you're drinking over there. That voodoo water.
It's not voodoo water. It is alkaline water, which not a sponsor, by the way. Not a sponsor here.
No, that shit looks like mud.
We're not getting any money for that. But if Blackwater wants to sponsor us, we're all ears here at the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Speaking of the podcast itself, this shirt's getting a little tight on me. I might have to order a new one. I'm not gaining weight or anything, or I'm not getting muscle because I haven't gained muscle in a long ass time. But if you were to get a new OTM t-shirt, or if you don't have one, you can go to the OTSN website, go to the merchandise tab, and then there is OTM merchandise. You can get a black t-shirt, you get a gray one, or a white one. Tuck, does yours still fit you, or did you order it after you lost all that weight?
No, it's just like a bedtime shirt now. It's a little big. I like the style of these shirts are a little form fitting. I'm gonna have I forgot that we had the store available kind of like whenever.
$15, dude. $15 for this? Are you kidding me?
Are they on hoodies now or just shirts?
We could do hoodies. I could talk.
It's hoodie season. That would motivate me. I'd probably do a bundle, and by bundle I mean pay full price for both.
I'll have to talk to Matt Haskell because he's the one that hosts the OTSN merchandise. We got a few things on there, so go ahead and check it out if you want to support the show in multiple ways, not just
solid
with Raise
hoodies.
Energy.
I have an Overtime Sports hoodie in my size, still very comfortable.
Very, very comfortable. I got a red one, and it is one of my favorites. So, Tuck, how about we get into Crown Jewel here? I was actually able to watch this live. I'm assuming you were not able to just because you're a teacher and you're doing teacher things, right?
Yeah, if it was depending on what day of the week, it might have fallen on the day where I have a first period prep and don't start. I could have caught the first hour live. That was not today. Bell to bell, just slapped with kids all day. So I had to wait until after school, but the benefit of waiting until after the show has run and managing to avoid spoilers, pat on the back, which is a big feat. You can skip through some of the stuff in the middle between matches and things like that. So the 4-hour and 7-minute show took me about 3 hours to get through.
And also, us starting an hour later probably gave you a little bit more cushion as well.
If we didn't start later, I would have been in trouble.
Really?
It would have been real tight. Like finished it, switched tabs, and have been live. But it did definitely give me enough time because I watched the last hour of it from the gym. I was able to come home, shower. Everything worked well, so it was great.
Yeah, and it started off pretty great. They went to the Hell in the Cell match right away, no hesitation whatsoever. Edge versus Seth Rollins, the trilogy as they were calling it. And I felt like, Tuck, this feud from beginning to end has felt very special. Probably one of the better feuds that they've had. But, because both of them come from these different generations, but they're very similar in their career accomplishments. Just from top to bottom, this feud's been fantastic.
Yeah, and I think it does more for Seth Rollins because it kind of brings him back to relevancy from the Monday Night Messiah, not taken seriously, plucking Rey Mysterio's eyeball out. That was a phase. People
almost forgot about that. People do forget me.
But yeah, what a match, man.
I mean, that spot that Seth took where Edge threw him against the cage and then he ricocheted into the table. I don't think they've ever done a spot like that before, which there's been so many Hell in the Cells to find ways to innovate.
Well,
that one popped me.
And hats off to WWE because they had a Hell in a Cell match and they stayed in the cell the whole time, which is like, that's not that common anymore, which is stupid. But they found creative ways to tell the story. Two very professional wrestlers in the cell the whole time. Nobody was thrown off of it. All the action was inside of it. And Bell to Bell was a good one.
Yeah, and I like how they tried to use each other's moves. I mean, the finish, the way Edge won, was with the curb stop on the chair. And if you go back, I think it's like 7 years ago to like 2014 or 2015, when the Big Show was in a segment as the Authority with champion Seth Rollins, and then he curb stomped Edge. And then you play this 7 years later, and now Edge is back. And that's just a long-term storytelling right there, which you don't get that often going back 7 years, but we got it here at Crown Jewel, which I tweeted this out too before this pay-per-view started. I was kind of pissed that they got this good of a card, because if you look top to bottom, Tuck, arguably the best card of the year for WWE, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I thought it was a great show. I would love to have said SummerSlam was better, but
I don't think it was.
I mean, I was there, but that made it better for the fans around me, I guess. But
Quinny checking in. The Saudis didn't have a problem with the use of hell. I guess not. That's a
heck in a cell.
Heck in a whack. I don't know. I was trying to think of something to do there, but that was weird to me too. I know that the female wrestlers have to cover all their skin and all that, but they're wearing long sleeve gear. Why do they have to wear the t-shirts over the gear?
I thought that same thing, especially with Sasha Banks, because it looked like she had like formal gear and not like regular like leggings. Or if you remember the first Natalya match, they were just draped in like black skin suits and a t-shirt.
Yeah,
I think the t-shirt is to cover any, like, you know how they have the adornments where like there's definitely material there, but you can see through it.
Yeah.
But like, I guess that's it. Like we're covering all of it. No shot, no chance.
Yeah, you're not seeing any skin from these females. Not up in here is what they're saying. But yeah, this Hell in the Cell match, I mean, perfect ending to this feud. And it may have been one of my favorite Hell in the Cell matches. I know I really enjoyed Becky and Sasha with Hell in the Cell. I enjoyed Triple H with Undertaker at WrestleMania 28, I believe it was. But this one, I mean, you really can't start off the show better. And I think we can both agree Edge winning is probably the right move. Way to end this feud.
Yeah, because Seth Rollins still has a whole career ahead of him. And if you want Edge to stay towards the top of the card, I think he needed it more. And Seth Rollins still, now in defeat, still looks like a formidable opponent, a respectable opponent.
Yeah, Edge, we were talking about that weeks ago, that he really hasn't had many big wins. So this can take him to that next step. We now know he's on Monday Night Raw. I don't know if that puts him immediately into like a title picture with Big E. It really doesn't make much sense to me there, but I'm sure they'll find something for him to do. So Edge defeating Seth Rollins, awesome Hell in the Cell match. After that, we got to see Mansoor defeat Mustafa Ali. I thought it was very cool just for history itself for two Muslim men to have a match here in the WWE. That has never been done before. So congrats to them for making history there in Saudi Arabia. But I was busy during this match with work, so I couldn't really pay much attention to it. But I heard good things, and Mansoor winning, the streak goes on, right, Tuck?
Yeah,
Some say it's better than The Undertaker's.
I don't know anyone that would actually ever say that, but
Mansoor?
Confident. Yeah, right. Confidence on this one. Like if you're running a preview of predictions, I think this was my highest confidence pick that Mansoor would win. So it was a good match. They had a good work rate, good back and forth. Nothing special. I don't think I'm not going to go back and watch this one. And then it was also cool that they had the silver medalist from the Tokyo Olympics come out. Michael Cole calling him a karate player was an interesting vibe.
I saw someone tweet back that they do call them karate players. Maybe they do.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Yeah, somebody corrected him. He's like, no, they call them karate players. So, I mean, maybe. I guess that's their way of bringing in like a Gable Steveson. That would be like, but
Yeah,
he didn't win gold. What a loser.
He got a solid pop, but okay, I stand corrected then. I thought Karate Player was a little funky, but
And maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe that guy on Twitter is wrong. But after this match, yeah, we got to see that guy, the Karate Player, and I'm probably thinking this is going to lead to a reuniting of Mansoor and Ali. Do you think that's probably going to happen down the road?
what else are you going to do with them?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So after that, we got to see RK Bro retain their tag team titles against AJ Styles and Omos. How about that entrance by Matt Riddle? The dude came in on a fucking camel.
And it looked like the thing that I took away from it was like, not only did he think he was cool on the camel, I think the way he like petted the camel made it feel like he wanted the camel to have a good time too. And I think that's Matt Riddle. Like, I'm going to ride this camel at this show, but I'm also going to pet it here or there and rub its shoulder just to make sure that he feels good about what's going on as well. And that's it. That's the definition of a bro.
And Randy Orton's face too, watching Riddle come in on the camel. I've loved everything about it. And I mean, we both have. We've talked about it since the beginning of RK Bro. They've been nothing but spectacular. But I'd safe to say that this feud is finished after this match with RK Bro retaining their championship. I know they want to protect Omos, Tuck. I get it. But Styles eating pinfall after pinfall, it's not sitting well with me. And maybe I'm just, being overprotective of one of my favorite wrestlers. What do you think about AJ Styles? Because he's been on a losing streak as of late.
Well, I agree. I guess the easy way out is to say, like, dude, I'm the one getting my butt kicked because you're here. You need to do a better job. But there's also a way for big men to fall and still look strong, especially in a tag team match when you can get shenanigans going. So you could undercut him, low blow him. There's a lot of different things you could do. Now, I don't know who between Riddle and Randy Orton would be that guy. It doesn't seem like that they're the type of team that goes, in that direction to win. But there are ways to make strong, monsters fall and still look relevant. They're just choosing to have AJ Styles eat all the pinfalls while everyone else is just flooding over to AEW. So
I get AJ Styles is older. I believe he's like 44 years old, but you could see the work rate still high. Everything that he does is entertaining. He's funny in his promos. I mean, when he was like, Cap, that's Cap. That means lie.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite moments of the past year for him. And that's saying a lot because he really hasn't done much. So my only take from this match is, all right, let's reset AJ Styles. You can use Omos as a body still. He could be that guy. But why can't AJ Styles be in the WWE title feud with Big E?
Right.
I think it makes sense. So we'll see what they do there. But RK Bro retains. Good for them. After that, we go on to the Queen's Crown Tournament. Zelina Vega is Queen Zelina now. She beat Doudrop, which I was very worried about going into this. Let's talk about that. So the fact that Doudrop was in this match was befuddling to me. Were you expecting Shayna Baszler to be in here too? Because that's what I was expecting.
Absolutely. They put Shayna Baszler on this run, right? She's looking tough, looking tested. And then I think that was one of the biggest head scratchers in both tournaments. Like, and then it's like, I don't know how Zelina Vega is going to beat Doudrop just from an attributes standpoint. They don't weigh the same amount. Doudrop is stronger, I guess is a word we'll use.
Doudrop also probably has like a foot on her in height. If you saw their face to face, or I should say face to chest. A little different.
Face to belly button. And so then I'm glad Zelina won because I think she's going to do more with the crown. And I also think it validates her for sticking with the WWE when she had other options. They all do now. So, I didn't know how we were going to get there, but the final move was pretty impressive.
Oh, it was actually, I thought it was a solid match. I mean, nothing great about it by any means, but I didn't hate it as well. I mean, Zelina can do, like you said, so much with the Queen's Crown gimmick. And we talked about it a few weeks ago when we tried to predict the winners without even knowing the bracket. I said Zelina Vega would have been perfect. you agreed with me as well. And here we are. Yes, maybe a Shayna Baszler could have also used it as well, but can you see Shayna Baszler wearing a crown and a robe and all that?
No, like I could see her doing the royalty gimmick, but not the way a queen would, and certainly not the way Zelina will.
No, she's going to carry it with class and elegance. That's the Zelina Vega way, which is wild. You brought up her just recently getting fired. She was let go November 13th of last year. Here you are, fast forward a year later. You are the very first Queen's Crown winner. I'm sure she's happy with that. If you can't have a title, you might as well win that, right?
Well, and I feel like that is something there's more for her to do with that than a title. Like
That's actually a good point.
She doesn't need to be in the ring against Becky and Charlotte. It doesn't fit.
I'd say she's a top 5 promo in the women's division for sure.
Yeah, so, well, and the crown will possibly give her some opportunities to face some opponents and build her cred, her resume, because certainly before the tournament she didn't have it. She was just getting clapped, taking the pin all the time.
Yeah, she was working with Carmella, but that was about it. But if you compare her winning, look at what it did to Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin didn't turn into a champion by any means, but we talked about this too in the past. Corbin grew on us. He used that gimmick, made something out of it, and now he's doing his happy Corbin stuff, which it's whatever to me. But if you give something like this to someone that was kind of floundering, they can find themselves, and hopefully something comes out of it. So that's what I get out of this. Congrats to Zelina Vega. Big win for her. After that, let's move over here to Goldberg defeating Bobby Lashley in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Now, anyone who listens to our show knows my disdain for Goldberg, knows that you dislike Goldberg as well. But let me say this, Tuck. I have watched Goldberg now for the past few years. I hate him, still do. But this was the best Goldberg match I think I've seen since his return.
That was my exact same take. When that match was done, when the bell rang, I felt satisfied. I thought it was like a good match, not
I agree.
Not good for Goldberg. I thought it was a good match. He got in and he went. There was plenty of time. There were plenty of spots. He got color. He looked
no
athletic.
botches.
No, it was, I think Lashley, although he looked dead, I think he's still alive and not injured, which is another accomplishment for Goldberg matches. But it was entertaining. And I think Goldberg, where he's at, is a guy that can benefit from a Falls Count Anywhere type situation, especially if he's the one getting the offense in, So I thought it was a good match.
I'm surprised he agreed to take that final spot. Goldberg's 55? Bobby's not young either by any means, but Goldberg usually just does a few things and that's it. For him to fully commit to that spear, that's saying something.
Well, and as this match was getting queued up, I'm looking at the time, 4:07. I'm like, damn, how long are some of these other matches still? But after this one went on, I was expecting spear after spear, suplex, bang, boom, in and out in 3 or 4 minutes, but that wouldn't really do anything for either of them. But I think Lashley in defeat lost in a Falls Count Anywhere match after just getting abused. So it's not like he's going to suffer a ton from it anyways.
And I guess they could prolong this feud and maybe go at it at WrestleMania or something like that. I don't need to see that. But it made sense storyline for Goldberg to get that revenge for Lashley, attacking his son on Monday Night Raw. So everything made sense. I really have no complaints about the match. And honestly, from top to bottom on this card, I think everything was placed well. And I thought every match was given enough time to tell a story, which the whole entire Queen's Crown tournament, there was a lot of complaints on the internet about how short the matches were. I believe that was the longest match of the tournament, right? In the finals there between Zelina and Doudrop.
That was triple the amount of time.
Yeah.
It was significantly longer. A good match. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Quinn. Combined age of that match was 95 years. Yeah. Not great. Those are some old boys.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like I thought in my head I thought it would be higher, but Quinn off to a hot start here for the MVM. We gotta let the gentlemen and ladies know the MVM is getting decals.
Wow.
Yes.
Look at that.
So I've got 2 of these queued up to send to Erica. I wanted to wait for this show. It's more efficient to send 3 in one envelope. But Quinn is clearly in the lead. You know, it's about the size of a finger.
You dropped it.
We've got like over 200 of these guys.
Hell yeah, we're ready to give it out, baby.
For like 7 years. But you can see it there. Most valuable mark on the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Get yourself some gold. Quinn's in the lead. You love to see it.
Love that. So if we are still doing this show in 7 years and you get the last sticker, that we're gonna sign that one for you. We're gonna promise you right now.
From here, let's see, it's 2021, so that would be 2028.
Oh, look what he came for the right place.
Yeah, he knows what's up. In 2028, who will be the AEW champion?
MJF.
I knew you were going to say that.
Come on, Steve. Jungle Boy.
That's a good one.
Daniel Garcia, Darby Allin. There's a lot of options there.
It's someone we've never heard of.
Brody Jr.
No, you've heard of him.
Oh shit! Yeah, -1.
I'm interested to see.
2028 AEW
negative
champion.
one will be how old will he be? Like 19, 20 at that time?
Yeah, you can wrestle.
Yeah,
I think he's like 12 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
We would definitely know he'll go to AEW. That's for sure. Quinn's asking, can you cash in a decal for a guest host spot?
I think we've done it for less.
I mean, you can get both.
Absolutely.
I'm sure Quinn would want to talk more AEW. I think he leans towards AEW. But Quinn, if you watch WWE too, you can come talk that with us because we're talking about both here. That's the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast for you. So the King of the Ring finals was Xavier Woods defeating Finn Balor to become the new King of the Ring. Tuck, I thought this match had very good pacing. And Woods winning was kind of surprising in a way, but I don't mind it either because I feel like a guy like Xavier Woods could potentially do more with this gimmick than Finn Balor. What says you?
Well, given the two between Xavier Woods and Finn Balor, I think King Xavier plays more into his character. What would you do? The Demon King, like King Balor? Finn doesn't need it. And that's why going into the match, we went into the King of the Ring tournament thinking that because Xavier was overhyped, that might be the clear reason why he didn't win.
It was almost too obvious.
Right. And then going into the final, you have that reverse psychology thing going on. But if WWE thinks this is like giving the fans what they want, they're not right. This is not big enough. It's not one of those big enough moments where the fans are clearly leaning. I don't think so. I think if this is them patting themselves on the back in an effort to cater to the fans and give them the pick in front of their face, I don't think it's enough unless they follow up and do that in other spots. If this is the one thing they do and say, see, we listen to the fans, I don't think it's enough. I think it's cool. And I like Xavier Woods. His role in Escape the Undertaker on Netflix was just, but
I did interact with that Netflix show right there.
I'm glad it was only a half hour. I did it too. I got into it without realizing that you had to like pick and choose.
Yeah, you got to kind of be interactive.
It was all right.
Yeah, I like that stuff. I actually disagree with you here, and usually we don't disagree, but I do think Xavier winning is enough because you know the backstory, and I'm sure everybody listening or watching this right now knows Xavier Woods always wanted to be King of the Ring. He has said it on numerous podcasts and shows, even his own gaming YouTube channel. He has stated that. You could tell by the reaction from just people in other companies like Cash Wheeler and all these guys from AEW and the ladies in the locker room congratulating him. I think this is enough because of how much it meant to Xavier. Yes, it was obvious. Sometimes the obvious pick is the right pick. I would have personally said Finn Balor was going to win going into this match, but then I look back at this thing. You got the New Day, arguably the greatest stable in the history of WWE. Every one of them's had their moment. Kofi Kingston got his moment at WrestleMania. Big E got his moment cashing in Money in the Bank. Yes, this doesn't compare, obviously, being King of the Ring, but to Xavier Woods, this means the world to him. It means the world to his peers. So in a way, I do think it's enough. So fuck you, Tuck. I'm disagreeing with you, you asshole.
Like I said, I think it's a good start, but if this is the only instance where they think like we do care, if this is the only one, I don't think it's enough. If this is one of many moments in the future where they're like playing into what they want because they're trying to drive storytelling and keep fans engaged, which they need to, like AEW is closer than they appear. Objects AEW in your rearview mirror is closer than it appears. So
that's funny that Quinn put this in here because I actually was going to bring up the exact tweet. Balor tweeted out afterwards, "I'm not the king, but forever the prince." That's
rock solid.
I mean, he ain't wrong. Vince is still the prince, and he didn't have to win a tournament to be the prince. So suck it, Xavier Woods.
And still the prince.
So this, you would agree with me, though, that it probably doesn't ruin Finn at all, losing to Xavier?
No, I argue that it would ruin Finn if he had to be the king and keep up that gimmick. Much the same, like what would it do for Shayna Baszler in reality? I think it would become kitschy. It plays into who Xavier Woods is. It played into who Baron Corbin was. I think it's really grating for Finn Balor. So I'm glad he didn't win it in hindsight, because of kind of the unless they the king role and what happens and comes of it would change, but it's usually shticky and a little over the top, and that plays right into Xavier Woods' hands.
Yeah, and this couldn't have come at a better time. I think they definitely needed something to spice up the WWE, not with just the draft. Like they needed a little bit more, and that's what this is going to do because it's going to establish stars like Xavier Woods on his own. Sure, Kofi will be there, but Xavier now has something to lean into. Zelina Vega now has something that she can rely on. So it gives these characters something else that they're going to bring to their respective brands when we go into effect tomorrow on SmackDown. So Xavier Woods is going to be the king on SmackDown, and Zelina Vega is going to be the queen over on Monday Night Raw. So congrats to those two. We got 3 more matches here, Tuck. The first one we're going to talk about here is Big E retaining his WWE Championship against Drew McIntyre. Now, 0% of me believe that Drew was going to win going into this match. Would you agree with me?
I agree. This is another high confidence pick. Because I'm like, what? You're not done with Big E. Like the train has not run its course yet. But it was a good match.
Yeah, I was going to say, with that being said, this match, it felt fresh because I don't think we ever really have seen Big E and Drew get to go one-on-one other maybe than on Monday Night Raw, but it had a few near falls, and especially that first Claymore. I don't know why I bought into that. Maybe it was just because the crowd was so into it that I bought into that moment right there.
The Claymore is real. Who kicks out of the Claymore? Like it's a pretty solid finisher. A lot of people have not been able to kick out.
Brock Lesnar for one.
Like, yeah, it works. So I was in that same spot. Like, oh, okay, good. Phew. All right.
Because nothing against Drew. I none of us dislike Drew, but if he wins there, 1, it doesn't really make much sense because he's going over to SmackDown. 2, Big E can't lose this early, right? Like, we don't want to see that.
No, and I don't like now with where Roman's at, like it's going to take an absolute monster. It will not take a monster to beat Big E, but he's building his resume too.
Got to build up some juice behind that title.
Mm-hmm.
Got to establish yourself with some wins. But I also like seeing some of the newer offense from Drew McIntyre. I don't know if you really noticed that, but it felt like he's been evolving his style to work with anyone, any kind of style, whether it be a Ricochet or a bigger guy like Big E. So I think him, just evolving as a wrestler itself over the past year when he's not a champion is going to be beneficial when he moves over to SmackDown. Because even though he loses here to Big E, he's got to be at the top of the list for Roman Reigns, right? Like he's got to be the guy to go up against the Tribal Chief.
Who else? Another legend part-timer to bring back and make it the summer of whoever the fuck. What it is, like, is it The Rock? Like, do they have enough money to afford The Rock and to give it the run? But then again, The Rock wins it. Who beats it? It's like, but it is one of the cool moments because like Hulk Hogan was a champion for how long, and you wanted to see every match he was in, and I cheer for Roman when he walks out. It's a
Me
mindset, you know.
You got to acknowledge him.
You have to, and I just don't know who's going to beat him.
I don't either, man. And Quinn asked, what would have been worse, Big E losing this early or Kofi getting squashed by Brock? I still think it's Kofi. That was a tough pill to swallow when that happened to Kofi.
On SmackDown, right? The very first, the debut, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they're like, here we go. Ding, ding, ding. F5, that's it.
That's it.
Like, if they would have just made it a match, like a couple minutes, maybe it would have been better. But I would definitely say Kofi in that instance. Anything else from this match you want to talk about? Or are you good?
No, Big E, keep on rolling.
Keep on rolling, baby. Big, meaty men bumping meat. That's what he's going to do. I got it, right? That was right?
Yep. BMMBM.
That's got to be a shirt, right?
Well, we in our sphere, BMMBM, the first time he said he wanted to fight Goldberg, he said big, meaty men slapping meat.
A little bit more aggressive there, slapping the meat.
A lot more audible as well. I like our version, BMMBM. It rolls off the tongue. BMMSM doesn't hit quite different, and I don't want to see Big E and Goldberg slap meat.
I do not.
Me neither.
In the most polite way, I'm not going to bash Goldberg.
With all due respect, fellas, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, let me get out there. With all due respect, fuck Goldberg. That's all. That's all we're saying here. Sorry, Bogus, if you're listening at a later date, because I know Bogus probably isn't watching live, because knowing him, I guarantee you he didn't watch Crown Jewel since he works out in Chicago. So if you're listening at a later date, Bogus, send us a tweet back, hashtag
BMMBM.
There you go.
BMMBM.
Got it. There it is. That's your personal mission, Ryan Vogus. And then Ian, I know you're not listening, so I'm not going to give you anything. Let's move on to the SmackDown Women's Championship match. Becky Lynch retains in a match that I thought the crowd probably enjoyed the most. The pop that each one of these superstars got was very impressive, Tuck. I think they wanted to see these ladies fight. Yeah, and the thing that I took away from this is, like, Bianca is a professional wrestler. She's hot. She's had the resume, but the layers involved in a triple threat match and being where you need to be when, she could have been the one to drag it down, not because she's unathletic, but because she's not where she needs to be at the right times and a lot of their sequences. But she was there and she showed out. I mean, Corey Graves said something so simple, but it really resonated with me. He just straight up said, it's hard to not be a fan of Bianca Belair. And I sat back and I'm like, it really is. Like, how can you not be in awe watching every single thing that she does? She lifted up another human, Sasha Banks, with one arm and just kept it there like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Bianca Belair is a specimen, an athlete. And there is a reason why. Is it PWI? Is that they put her number one? I don't know if you saw that for women's wrestlers of 2021.
That's why.
How do you disagree with that? How do you disagree?
And again, that's not number one in WWE. That's number one in all of it. Like, think of who they're claiming she's better than: Charlotte, Becky, Sasha,
Britt Baker,
Chelsea Green, Jordan Grace, Deonna Purrazzo.
The list is insane because
stacked.
The women's wrestling has gotten so good over the past couple of years, and to see number one, Bianca Belair, that was shocking to me. But overall in this match itself, I thought it was probably the second best matchup on the card. I enjoyed the very hectic ending that we got because it seemed like all the women were trying to get that last cover and they were doing whatever it would take to get that one. But all women were great in this match. I don't even think you can obviously you can highlight Bianca Belair, but where did this match go wrong? It didn't.
No, it's a highlight for Bianca Belair because it shows that she can do what Sasha and Becky have been doing for a long time, which does not make it a low light for either Sasha or Becky. It's another notch on the belt for the two of them as well. And when you get into these crazy, like chaotic triple threat matches, I always get that reference of like the race on the Jumbotron at the baseball games, where one's pulling ahead and forward and back, and what's the move, and they did it very well. And in my heart, I felt like Becky was going to retain because of the SmackDown and Raw rosters changing soon. And that would make that a clean title switch between Charlotte and Becky without mucking it up in the rosters. But getting there was never certain.
Well, going back to that, do you think that's what's going to happen? Or they're just going to swap the belts and be merry? Or could they potentially be setting up this match at Survivor Series, a title unification match?
Oh, like for a women's universal title?
Yeah.
And would you think they'll have a women's universal title, a Raw title, and a SmackDown title?
No, I just think that they would just have one women's title, just the Universal Championship for the women. Because they just gave them the tag team division. I know they don't really give a shit about it because who are the tag team? Oh, Rhea and Nikki ASH. And that's probably the only tag team left.
Sweet. Name another tag team.
Sweet. The other, we talked about Bianca being number 1 on that list. I do not know how to pronounce the number 2, but she is from Stardom. At number 3 was Deonna Purrazzo, who you will be seeing this Saturday, which I think is very high when you look at the rest of the women that wrestle in WWE. No disrespect to Deonna because she's great. Britt Baker was 4, and my girl Thunder Rosa coming in at number 5.
Damn.
She follows me on Twitter. I feel like we should get the number 5 women's professional wrestler on the podcast one of these days.
And that's a free decal too. Like we'll comp her a decal. Like
we'll give her free merch too.
Yeah, like I don't.
She can co-host the show. Yeah. And number 6 was Sasha, another woman from Stardom at 7. Io Shirai was 8, and Raquel Gonzalez was 10. That's kind of surprising.
That one surprises me. I can't speak on the women from Stardom. That is a female, like, women's only company. Is that true?
Yes,
Stardom?
it is. Mm-hmm.
I got to pop in with that.
We probably should because, I mean, women's wrestling's so good right now. Might as well.
No, because now it's wrestling. You
don't even have to say women. Yeah,
you want to. It is the women's division of professional wrestling. It's not bra and panties matches. It's not a fucking butterfly on the title belt.
I do like those butterfly on the title belts. So,
is that your next purchase?
Yeah, hell
yeah,
hell no.
What's next?
I thought you were going to add more. That's what I was waiting for.
No, that's all I got.
Final thing from this match, I'll say.
Couple weeks off. Hip.
All women were great, but this just felt like a Bianca Belair showcase, like we said.
Yeah.
And going back to what Bully Ray always says, someone went over, which was Becky Lynch. Someone got over, and I would say that was Bianca Belair in this triple threat. So we'll see.
Sasha's still a boss.
Oh, you can't take anything away from Sasha. She was great in her own for sure. So the last match here, the main event, arguably one of the biggest matches of the year, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. The Tribal Chief Tuck still found a way to retain his Universal title here at Crown Jewel. Now, usually when Brock and Roman have these matches, they start off with a bunch of finishers. They get straight to the big moments. But this felt a little different to me, wouldn't you say?
I was going to say the same thing, much along the lines of a traditional Goldberg match. When you see Roman and Brock, we're getting spears, we're getting F5s, we're getting Superman punches, and we're going to get a good 5-6 minutes of it. This is the match on WWE 2K where you can spam finishers, you don't have to build them up. But that's not what we got here. We got a pretty physical contest with back and forth. Some good exchanges, reversals. It felt like Brock took it professionally and wanted to go.
It felt like a hoss fight. I mean, these are like the two most badass guys in professional wrestling, and it didn't really take long to heat up, but the start was just a little different, and the crowd was once again fully engaged in everything in this main event. So we had that ref spot though, Tuck, towards the end of the match, where Brock went for the F5, and then he ended up taking out the referee, Charles Robinson. And then it got interesting because Paul Heyman then threw that belt in between both men and said, you know what to do with it. Was he intending that to be for Brock? Was that for Roman? Or is this just all part of the story? We have to find out who's Heyman aligning himself with.
Yeah, dude, they're doing a great job in developing that story without having them get physical, like the way they went off at SmackDown last week. You know, it's a weird, like, early 2000s Jerry Springer talk show vibe with Paul Heyman in the middle of it. And it's weird. The thing that is interesting to me is that Roman is still vying still wants to have Paul Heyman around, instead of being like, well, screw you, go with him. And I'm interested to see where it goes. And we got through a match, and Paul Heyman is still not a decided figure for either side by throwing it in the middle. And I think they cut to the camera of both people looking back at him like, what the hell are you doing? So,
yeah, it's good storytelling for sure with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. But Lesnar got a hold of that belt when he threw it in there, and then he was super kicked by the Usos, and then hit by the belt with Roman Reigns to retain his title. This obviously is not the end of this feud. Since Heyman, you could even see the pictures afterwards from Crown Jewel. He was kind of disgruntled with the result of the main event, which makes you think maybe he was trying to get Brock Lesnar to win. But I had this conversation with Oros because he was actually watching Crown Jewel. He was wondering if Heyman hops over to Brock, does that make them a face duo, or is it just a way of turning Brock heel and Roman face? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, one's got to be one and one's got to be the other, right? If you want it to make sense.
That's the part we're trying to figure out a little bit here. I've said to Aaron, not all the time you need to have heel versus face. There are instances where they don't do that. How they did it with Big E and Drew, two baby faces right there. Obviously, It wasn't to the same magnitude of Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, but I still think if Heyman were to eventually cost Roman Reigns the title, Brock Lesnar instantly becomes a heel because Heyman's doing shady shit for this to happen. I still think Roman can be a heel in this situation. Yeah, he's probably going to get more cheers. The fans are going to get behind him just because he got screwed out of his title run.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way you can make Roman Reigns a face after all he's done, right? Like, they've spent too much time on this.
How? Right? How? He's in it. He's pretty deep.
But hey, it will continue. I don't know when. It might be Survivor Series. Who knows? But Brock Lesnar even tweeted it out. He's showing up to SmackDown to kick Roman Reigns' ass. So maybe that happens at Survivor Series.
Kofi style squash match tomorrow on SmackDown.
No, we don't. If they ever did that to Roman Reigns, I'd stop watching.
Yeah, I would lose all faith. And,
I'm dead serious. I would probably.
Yeah, and that would take a lot for you.
It would, because I've been a decade now. Haven't missed an episode. Watching 6.5 hours of wrestling I missed last weekend was extremely difficult to get in before the Bears-Packers game. That was tough. That was tough. But I managed to do it. So overall, Tuck, give me your grade for Crown Jewel. What do we think?
B plus.
I like that.
B plus. Like, was it an A- show? Give it like an 88, 87. I thought it was good. And it wasn't over fluffed. They didn't give us a lot of nonsense that we didn't need. So yeah,
I would give it A-, because to me, it's right up there maybe with a WrestleMania on WWE pay-per-view of the year. Because there's no stinker there. Like, usually there's a shit match that happens at Crown Jewel. I don't think there was a bad match that happened. Yeah. We got good results. We had good storytelling. Everybody kind of shined even in the loss. So for me, I'll give it an A-. I enjoyed Crown Jewel. We got somebody chiming in here, Dark Sage. I have an interesting comment I wanted to make about Crown Jewel. Yeah, let's hear it. Go ahead.
Let it rip. We'd love to hear it.
And Quinn's saying, can you make Brock a face? I think fans like him as a heel. He was a face in this match, right?
I feel like they were behind, like badass Brock, like this flannel wearing, boot kicking, like Jack. Is he like leaner? Like
He's cut.
Like that's
skinny.
what I'm saying. Like he's great. He looks great. I thought it was a good match. I think he put in a good effort. Yeah, you can't really complain.
Here's the take. I enjoyed this version. No Paul Heyman, badass babyface Brock Lesnar over the heel.
Well, yeah, he's with him doing the talking and steering his own ship a little bit. He's developing more of a personality. He's not the grunt stock super jock guy behind Paul Heyman. He's becoming more relatable in many different ways. So I agree. I really enjoy this version of Brock. I enjoy this version of Roman Reigns. There is a lot of good in the WWE still.
We used to talk about this version of Roman Reigns. I'm starting to see a little bit of critiquing going on with the internet wrestling community that Roman winning is getting too predictable and they're not enjoying it. Do you feel that way, or you like me and just enjoying the ride and nobody can beat Roman Reigns right now?
Well, here's the thing. Like along the road, Roman's just got to keep smashing people for the ultimate, like lifetime remembering type match. When's the last time you had a match like from years ago that you're still holding on to? It wasn't Reigns and Cena at SummerSlam.
No.
Like when it's not The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, when like those matches, the ones that bring the heat.
Which is probably The Rock, right? The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Like that's got to be it.
And they're going to do it at the Royal Rumble in St. Louis.
Oh, we are going to the Royal Rumble in St. Louis.
Please.
Yeah, my mom got mad at me. She's like, Kyle, you don't have a lot of money. I go, I don't care. I could die tomorrow. You know, that's how I'm living my life right now. So Dark Sage has a big theory here. I think Heyman is going to double cross both Roman and Brock. Who will his new superstar be? One theory in my mind is the ultimate opportunist. Always remember Heyman looking for those he can manipulate. What if behind the scenes he is going to align himself with Edge, the ultimate opportunist and the master manipulator, Paul Heyman? That's a theory, Tuck, and I don't hate it.
Well, and hats off to Dark Sage. What did Paul Heyman do for Roman? Remember, we were at my house. That's a moment we remember. We were at my house. We had to pull it up on SmackDown. We watched in the man cave with like bated breath, and the camera just pans to Paul Heyman, and we're like, what? And since then, like Roman Reigns is the guy. And if you want Edge to continue to be relevant and have this good stretch, a good run, maybe Paul Heyman is the guy to do that.
That would be a swerve because everybody thinks he's obviously going to align with Roman or Brock. And honestly, when he started to talk about the ultimate opportunist too, I thought of Seth Rollins. What if Seth Rollins was with Paul Heyman? There's a lot of different directions you can go. And I think that's what makes that story so great. So overall, I have Crown Jewel at an A-. You had it at a B+. Yeah. Can't really complain about that. When we usually are here complaining about something, I have no complaints about Crown Jewel.
Yeah, well, you go in. The card sets you up with high expectations, and I think it delivered just a good firm show, and they did so without any huge title changes or anything like that.
Did a title even change? We just saw crown winners, right?
Yeah. So there was new, but not significant news. Saudi was able to scratch that itch, and they saw the first Queen's Crown champion crowned. Xavier win King of the Ring. So I think everybody involved, the viewers in America, across the country, world, those in Saudi Arabia who paid to be at the show,
definitely got their money's worth.
Though the wrestlers that traveled to Saudi Arabia to be on the show, and I feel like they traveled with a slimmer roster. Like they didn't take a ton of extra. And when you go to these pay-per-views, you'll see people in their gear to be on screen for like 7 seconds in a walk pass. So I think they've learned from their past Saudi Arabia shows. They're still cognizant that even though it's an 8 a.m. first pitch for me in Nevada, you can still put on a good show. And I don't feel like they over Twittered it to spoil away a lot of the big matches. So
well, yeah, because they definitely know that the majority of their audience is watching in America. So
yeah.
they probably didn't want to be too in your face about everything. So yeah, definitely the best crown jewel we've seen, arguably one of the best WWE pay-per-views of the year. Speaking of pay-per-views, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, Tucky. You are going to be making your Impact Wrestling debut as a fan. Unfortunately, we're not going to get you in the ring.
Oh, my people. I'm still waiting on their people to respond. You know, we've sent out a few feelers for maybe a run-in or something like that. Not sure. I'm trying to keep myself in ring shape, but I'm not sure if anything's going to come.
Maybe you can get like an interview spot like Robbie Fox did on AEW, but in a Bound for Glory.
Oh,
you get that media pass. I mean, who says no to the On the Mark Wrestling podcast?
Zero companies lifetime have said no to us,
and zero have said yes. So here we are.
Didn't have to say that last part.
I was just gonna throw that out there. You know who else is gonna be on that card? A guy that we have seen before at Warrior Wrestling, Trey Miguel, with the X Division title on the line.
Yeah,
Deonna Purrazzo versus Mickie James, Christian Cage versus Josh Alexander. You get to see the innovation. That's what their name is, right?
Inspiration?
Inspiration. That's right. I'm just looking up and down the card. How excited are you for this? This is a big
pretty
deal.
Excited because the venue is not big. I might hold 1,200 people. So like wherever I'm gonna have a good seat. The thing that pissed me off was I had front row seats in my cart and hit purchase, and I got the Chase fraud alert. And because I was in the school, I didn't have a cell service, so I couldn't reply yes right away and queue it up. But we have general admission. We'll get there early. We'll find seats and do all that jazz. And Mr. will be into it. And then again, the opportunity for run-ins from other companies and brands excites me as well, because we know the Impact AEW tie-in. There might be people that cross over, maybe debuts from wrestlers that have been cut recently, free agents, a debut from a popular indie or something like that. So that'll be exciting as well. And then we're not coming home Sunday. We're staying in Vegas on Sunday to kind of mess around and just kind of chill. But it'll be a nice, good weekend. And then a fellow member of the Overtime Sports Network will be here Wednesday of next week, and that'll be Tyler Walk.
That guy's a fraud. Who gives a shit about that guy?
I'm excited to see Jenny, his girlfriend. She's nice.
Yeah, she is a nice woman. I don't know if you've paid attention at the end of our Family Divided, but I roasted the shit out of Tyler to close out our show. He said something about nobody tells me what to do, and I go, except for Jenny Sitko, and we'll see.
And that's it. We'll see it.
I just roasted my co-host. I rest
my case. Nothing further, Judge. That's it. That'll be it.
Yeah, another win for Gags right there. But no, yes. I'm really excited for you. I like the you being able to experience more wrestling, because once I got that taste of like Black Label Pro and Warrior Wrestling and now GCW I've experienced, I just want to see more wrestling. And I think more people need to be like us, open-minded, and just experience all professional wrestling, because you don't need to pick a side. Why would you have to stay on one side of the fence when there's this whole landscape of professional wrestling?
And and that's kind of where I get to in the ratings pissing contest between AEW, WWE. Who gives a shit? What we want good ratings all over the board.
Ruby Soho beat Roman Reigns in the key demographic.
Bro, come on, bro. Don't.
I hate that shit.
I know.
Somebody was like, that's like somebody bragging about winning the second quarter of a game and then losing.
Like, yeah, we lost, but that second quarter we outscored our opponent by, a little bit. And so moral victories are still victories, I guess, nonetheless. And that is the one complaint I have about Tony Khan, is like that.
Same.
Yeah, I think he's in it, but he's just pressy on that, and not a fan.
Let me put this on the record. I think they have the best product right now in professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
AEW is the thing I get most excited for. It's just like, you don't have to be that guy. Quinn asked Kyle, have you ever been to an AAW show? They usually are out on Bourbon Street in Illinois. No, I don't even think I've ever heard of them. Tuck, what about you?
No, unfamiliar with that. I am familiar now with the Future Stars of Wrestling, a and the West Coast WCCW West Coast Championship Wrestling. They run out of Reno with a lot of people I've never heard of, but Future Stars of Wrestling in Vegas, they do Vegas shows. They've had big names, Kenny Omega, Daniel Bryan. They've had some big names down there. So
Quinn says they're nuts. We might have to check them out.
AWAA.
Check out all the wrestling, man. AAW. That's what it is.
AWA.
Oh, you're talking about the wiffle ball team. Yep. I get it. Have seen a slew of huge players. Yeah, Tuck saw Darby Allin. I still can't believe you saw Darby Allin.
Dude, that card was insane.
Yeah.
Darby Allin, Ethan Page, Jordan Grace, PCO, all on one show before anybody knew who they were. And then like the now we're going to indie shows and seeing kind of established people. But Warhorse, we've seen Warhorse. He's going to be something someday.
He's got to be. I feel like why is nobody big signed Warhorse? He's the man.
He's got to be Raw, right? Like they have to think he's green in the ring or something.
You know what I just thought of? Warhorse is from St. Louis. If we get the Airbnb, we need to do a podcast with Warhorse.
I'm there Friday evening. Like we have a lot of Friday night.
Let's go
all of Saturday, and I have my flight leaves at like 1:00 on Sunday. So like I've got a good little stretch. So I'm excited for it. We've got to queue up an Airbnb here in a couple weeks and kind of get that moving. But my flights are already done. My personal day is already covered. I can't wait
because a lot of times bucket list thing, man.
A lot of times you get in late Friday night, you've got the Saturday, you fly out, but I've got an afternoon flight Sunday, early-ish, like a dinner arrival. Yeah, and it's going to be the three of us. We can vibe it up. It's going to be great.
Royal Rumble is something I've always wanted to go to. It is the pay-per-view other than WrestleMania, in my opinion.
It was a madhouse, and it was not a madhouse in the waiting line. I got in there 10 minutes early. There was like 200 people in front of me. I was in, but like I'm clicking buttons, clicking seats, putting them in the cart. Not available. So we still got 100 level seats,
dude, and not a bad price.
Pretty good seat. Like again, the service fees are what fuck everything up, but a good seat should have a good. The one thing that we're not gonna have a great view of would be the jumbotrons on the entrance. They're gonna come out to our right-ish. So we'll see it, but I'm sure it's going to be plastered all over the stadium.
Yeah, and
that's the football stadium, right?
It's the old football stadium
right.
where the Rams used to play. Yeah, so they don't use it for any professional sports teams right now. I think it's just there to be used, and that's
concerts,
a perfect
conventions, probably.
Yeah, perfect venue for it for the Royal Rumble. Quinn said he's seen Morrison, Seidel, McIntyre, War Raiders, Sami Callihan. A solid list right there.
Damn.
I would have loved to see Penta and Phoenix before they got big, but thankfully we got to see them at All Out, and that match was awesome.
Bonkers. Oh, yeah.
So now is the time of the show. We are here at the end, and history is being made here on the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, Tucky. And new most valuable mark of the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, Quinn Clark Hesse.
Wow, that okay. New for two reasons, right? That's the first Twitch commenter to come in to the chat and win the most valuable mark. He's got a strap coming his way. Quinn, DM myself, Kyle, or the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast inbox with the address to send it. I'm gonna get it on the way. Erica's only getting 2 belts. They call her Erica 2 belts.
This is the end of the reign of Erica Marini, a very historic time in the history of the OTM podcast. Also, he didn't win, but shout out to Dark Sage popping in, giving us a comment on Twitch as well. It seems like Twitch was the move. I didn't go to YouTube because I didn't want to get banned in Afghanistan and Pakistan again.
Which would have been interesting because we're talking about the show from Saudi Arabia, so we probably would have had a big demographic there.
Could have popped
Yeah, we got to figure that out still. But again, shout out to Dark Sage as well, popping in and joining us for a little bit.
Quinn, can we get a quote to end the show? I need some words. This is a big moment. There's been Ryan Vogus, Mikey Wilson, Erica Marini, and now the 4th ever, right?
Fourth ever.
MVM.
Yeah, Erica's had it twice. I think Vogus has carried it twice.
Yeah.
Has Mikey ever carried
Wilson was just a one reign, but he carried it for a couple
He
weeks.
punted it. He had the title and like willfully gave it away.
He's like, I thought I had a wedding rehearsal when he didn't. What a fucking
he just the whole adulting thing, and Mikey, not great.
So I'm not sure when we're gonna record next week, Tuck, because you said Tyler's coming in on Wednesday. Packers play next Thursday. So
you want to do a Wednesday evening, maybe late boy, because they come in early and we're just at the house, so T-Walk might be able to make a guest spot.
A post AEW show, maybe. Is that too late for you?
Because we'll probably be drunk or something.
We have a quote from the MVM himself. Honored to be in such an elite company. We'll carry this title with pride and defend it against all challengers.
And so here, the tough part for Quinn right now is he's holding the belt. We don't know when the next show is going to be. So keep your eyes peeled.
Maybe Wednesday night, definitely not Thursday. So there's
Quinn is the type of champion that I feel will be diligent. He will carry the MVM title with pride.
True baby face right there.
And Erica, she doesn't want the smoke, I don't think. Not even a hey boys. And former champion Mike Wilson sent us a text, said he wasn't going to make it. So a lot of commotion. I'm interested to see, with next show and us streaming on Twitch, is Dark Sage going to be a guy that comes in early, right? He's a mysterious, he's the mystery tag, the mystery opponent that pops in. So now we had a lot of storylines developing, a lot of layers, and that's we know that's the key to engagement, long-term storytelling. So will Quinn be able to defend it? Is Dark Sage going to come off the top? Is Erica still relevant? People are asking.
I don't think Erica is relevant. I think she fell off. She goes, "Ooh, I forgot it was tonight. I'm not even home." And then I told her she lost her title, and she said,
well, her decals might get lost in the mail. I don't know.
Ooh,
it's
that's
one of those things.
That's a tough scene for Erica Marini there, but
life has been better.
We went over an hour. I didn't think we were going to do it, but we did. We will let the listeners know when we plan on recording. Maybe Wednesday night, maybe not a show. Who knows? But once again, thank you to those who watched live, Quinn, the new MVM, and interacted with us. And thank you to those who listen at a later date as well on Spotify, iTunes, or Amazon Music. Tucky, send us home.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's still a great time to be a wrestling fan. Until next time, thank you for listening to the On the Mark Wrestling
Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the On the Mark Podcast.
Brock Lesnar going for an F5 to Cena for the championship. Lesnar with the cover.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Pod on the Mark.